क्या पढ़ रही हूँ ये सब में मेरा दिमाग ही खराब हो रहा है. मैं जितना सोच रही हूँ ना अपने आप को कंट्रोल करूँ, नहीं हो पा रहा है मेरे से. इवन व्हेन आई से दैट आई विल रिस्पेक्ट योर ओपिनियन, आई विल सर्टेनली नॉट व्हेन इट कम्स टू दिस बुक. टेंशियस कॉलिन हु what? Painful for me to read a review as such. Unsatisfying ending. What are people reading these days? I mean, I have a lot of favorite books, okay? Books that wrecked me to the core, books that I love talking about, books that I never stop talking about. And apparently there are a few people who think or feel contrary to my opinion, which is practically not bad because we all are individuals in our own ways and we obviously have our own thoughts. So because I have a lot of books that I have rated a 6-star over the years, so therefore, as from the title and from the thumbnail, you already know that today we are here to read and review, or maybe read and react. Yes, read and react to the 1-star rated books of my favorite books. Like, I rated them a 6-star, but there are people in the universe who did not feel the same way. So they rated it a 1-star maybe, or even below that. Not practically possible, but yes, there are some people who have written that if I could rate this book a minus, I would possibly do it. So I thought that is going to be something different from what I generally create on this channel. And it's going to be fun for both you and I because it is pretty much unscripted. I know, and I have read the reviews. It's hilarious, okay? And before we begin, this is a point of view video. If you do not feel the same way just as I do for these specific books, it is completely all right. I do not mind it, and I'm not here to change your thoughts in any way. And also on that note, when I say that I am not here to change your mind in any way, I will also not be changing my thoughts after reading these reviews because they are good for me for my own reason. I have taken out screenshots of all the 1-star rated books of my favorite books because I do not have an access of Goodreads here, and I am using my phone to record this video. Therefore, we are going to manage with the screenshots, and I will be sharing the screenshots of these reviews for you to read it personally on the screen so that you know that I'm not lying. Maybe, obviously, why will I lie? Anyways, let's move on to the video. The first book is A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mistry. Now, you all know how much I love that book. I have never stopped raving about that book ever since I read it last summer. And the book is one of the best written books, and it was also shortlisted for the Booker 2015, if I'm not wrong, and for all right reasons. That's what I believe. Not that everybody believes the same, right? Okay, I'll just take a pillow underneath maybe. Yeah. Anyways, the first is A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mistry, and you know how much I love that book. The review goes something like, in case I needed more of a reason not to ever read Oprah books again, this is it. It is terribly depressing book about people living in India when Indira Gandhi was in charge. I thought it had potential as a historical fiction. And indeed, the gruesome depictions of abusive mass sterilization campaigns were enlightening. But I found it impossible to get past the depressing story. I came away from this book with a heavy feeling that these things can keep getting worse, even when they have been bad for so long that you are sure they are bound to get better. Too depressing. Only thing that I have to say is, it is based on true events, okay? These things are factual. As she's mentioning about sterilizations and stuff, it did happen. So when Rohinton Mistry tried to add fiction into non-fiction, like into history or the facts of the country, I could relate to it, not because I've been through it in any way, but I know that this happened. I have studied my part of history better. It is sad because it is sad in history as well. I'm not trying to justify that this book is the best because I find it best, but because she seemed to not like it because it was sad. But again, these are the same people who would run after reading A Little Life, and the rest is history, darling. I'm taking every review from this list. I'll try to in fact take every review from this list quite positively, unless I actually log into my Goodreads account here and kind of start argument on why have you written this against the book that I really enjoyed. No matter how many times we try to convince ourselves that bhai हर किसी का अपना ओपिनियन होता है, हर कोई सेम तरह से नहीं सोच सकता, बिकॉज दैट इज़ द ब्यूटी ऑफ लिटरेचर. यू हैव योर ओन इमेजिनेटिव पावर. बट अगेन इट्स वेरी triggering to me sometimes ki bhai, when I'm saying that it's a good book and you are not reading the book seriously and just coming out without even reading it completely and with your own opinion, I mean, that is very triggering to me. So but I'll try to control Uday. I decided to actually pull out only one star review of each books, but there are two for this one, okay, because this book is special to me, so I want to ruin my thought process twice. And the second person writes, the most morbid, depressing novel I have ever had the displeasure of reading. An absolute abomination of literature if you manage to get to the end, and what an horrifying end it is. And toil through the masochism you have endured, you will be relieved that this putrid novel can no longer inflict emotional turmoil on your soul. Apart from the displeasure of reading it, I am taking everything positively, because yes, it is depressing, it is very sad, it is quite morbid and everything, emotional turmoil. I take it everything, except for the fact that it was a displeasure for you to read it. I mean, the next book is A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl, one of the most heart-wrenching and very hopeful book that is set against the backdrop of Nazi concentration camp. I mean, ever since I read that book, I have never found myself moved on from that part of the world. I have read a couple of other books that discusses the Nazi concentration camps altogether, but I think A Man's Search for Meaning has left a great impact in my soul as a human being, okay? And because it's like, non-fiction, that kind of is more creepy to even read it. Like, it's hopeful, but at the same time, it's unbelievable that somebody had to endure so much, and by God's grace, he existed to tell his part of the story. And on that book, somebody commented, I seem to be in the minority with my opinion, but I have no desire to read about a particular school of psychiatric thought, even if it was conceived in the Nazi concentration camps. Reading this book felt like work, and I didn't enjoy it. If you're somebody who enjoys a lot of fantasy books, like, okay, you do not like to live in this world when you're reading, so you're basically somebody who wants to get teleported to some other universe altogether, and one fine day you decide to pick Viktor E. Frankl's A Man's Search for Meaning out of the blue, or maybe influenced by somebody. So obviously you're gonna find this book quite not likely. You will definitely feel it like a work, like a task that you have to complete. It's unfortunate that you did not understand the book, extract the beauty that the book kind of deliver. I mean, I don't know, you could not get connected to the book for some weird reason. But yeah, it's weird, sometimes it's very weird to read somebody's comments like this, but we're gonna respect it. We are good readers here. The third one is my all-time favorite classic. Now, I have read a lot of classics, but this one is unbeatable. I have been telling people to read this book no matter how long it takes for you to read the book. Not because this is my favorite book, but because you kind of get blown by how Tolstoy, being a man, he wrote about a woman and what she goes through psychologically when she is kind of in a society where the society works in a certain way, but she kind of wants to break the stereotype and do what she wants for her own happiness, for her own psychological happiness or mental peace. Now, this is a big deal considering Tolstoy is not a contemporary author, and he wrote this book around 1800 something. So to be writing a book as such in that century is a different challenge in itself. It's Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, and the person has quite a long message here, if you can see. So he writes, there are two problems with reading anything by Leo Tolstoy. Number one, the guy seriously needed an editor with a forceful personality, as his most famous books are far too long. Number two, it's nearly impossible to keep the characters apart. because they all have something like 10 different names depending on the situation and social setting. This is true of much of Russian literature, though for me it's worst by far with Tolstoy. I don't remember much about this book, to be honest, as I read it in the summer of 1998. I do remember that by less than halfway through, I didn't want to finish it, and I only did finish it through sheer force of will. I have this thing about finishing books I've started. Great. So I didn't want to read half of it and I couldn't keep straight who anyone was. Why the hell did I initially give this a 2-star? Got a downgraded to 1. I don't know if we as readers are superior than the writers, or maybe superior as in like, I mean, they write for us, but how are we eligible to review somebody we know that existed for good writing, or how are we eligible to review somebody who has experience in writing and I don't have any experience. I can just read a book and pass a comment कि भाई इसके जगह ये होता तो अच्छा होता. But have I ever tried to write a book and see how difficult it is to actually write a book altogether? I mean, I am not eligible to review a classic, okay? I am not eligible to review a non-fiction book or somebody who's sharing his or her own story. Like, they are classics. They started writing books when there were not even computers or mobile or gadgets or chat GPT. They wrote books by observation, okay, by clarity. There are authors who wrote books not for commercial purpose. They wrote books because it was their passion. And then when they were dead, it got published. There were authors who wrote books because they saw the society in a way. And I see this generation or this century, any Tom, Dick and Harry is becoming an author, a published author. I have nothing against it. I mean, you are good at writing, please go ahead with your manuscript and get it published. But the point is, I am personally nobody to review somebody who has written a book without the help of any kind of technology. And I feel if you're saying that you didn't like it because it was way too long, I think you have got issues with your patience, or maybe you are not meant to read classics in that case. Because Anna Karenina, apart from one part which was part 3 where Levin is basically farming, apart from that part, the entire book is quite happening. So if you say Anna Karenina is boring, you are not meant to read classic. Okay, so because Anna Karenina is again one of my most favorite books of all time, there's another 1-star review that I extracted, and this lady, she says, this book was the epitome of suffering from boredom. I know it's only January, but this will be my least favorite books of this year, as well as the longest. I mean, I can understand with the length of the book, but if you are somebody who is into contemporary fictions and romance novels and romance that has no head and tail or foot or nail, I mean, you will certainly not enjoy Anna Karenina, because you are not reading the book to understand the book. You're reading the book because everybody else is reading the book. So I am helpless in this case. You still need to, grow up or maybe upgrade your reading choices.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
The next is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlo Ruiz Zafón. I love this mystery book. One of the best mystery books that I've ever read. Beautiful writing, beautiful character development, extremely atmospheric. So if you're somebody who haven't yet read The Shadow of the Wind, I think you definitely should read that. Now this guy starts his review with a heading which says forgettable indeed. It is absolutely not forgettable. Then he writes, disappointing. This genre is uncertain without being creative. The story is complex without being interesting. Not at all. The prose is increasingly trite as the book progresses. Improbable coincidences abound. The structure involves constant repetition rather than elucidation. Repetitions, yes, because it was a need there, okay? I'm sure Zafón has the same editor as Donna Tartt, the one who allows the book to reach print out 60% too long. Talk about prolix. Don't let the first few chapters fool you. This book goes nowhere and has no discernible point except its own endless exposition. One in the eye for the listers of bestseller. I'm afraid. This book goes nowhere. What are people reading these days? I mean, to say that this book does not end up going anywhere. I mean, are you serious, buddy? I mean, Okay, let's move on to the next book, which is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. It's a translated book, and it is one of the books that I first started reading, and then I read 30% of the book, and then I dropped the book. I DNF'd because the atmosphere was as such that I was not being able to read it. I was not able to concentrate, or maybe, I was not into the book at all. And then the same year in winters, I picked that book again from the very first page, and boom, it got me. Okay, I mean, I cannot express how blown I was when I finally reached the climax, and I didn't expect the ending to be as such. It is quite dark, it is mysterious, and it has everything that you need. Like, the best part about this book is it's extremely atmospheric. So if you ever decide to read Drive Your Plow, make sure that you pick it during winters. It will elevate the experience of reading the book altogether to a different level, because Winters and Olga Tokarczuk's Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead is the best combination ever. This lady, she writes, waited 8 months for this book to become available at my local library. The plot centers around a middle-aged hermit named Janina who prefers animal to people, hates hunting, and is really into astrology. Did I mention the author won a Nobel Prize in Literature? I was sold. The protagonist's description sounded so wonderful and quirky, and I knew I had to read it. Lord, was I wrong? I can say I have not hated a book this much in a very long time. I mean, I'm straight away judging you, darling. As a fervent animal lover, I found the main character just plain batty. Honestly, I feel awful having read the description and thinking I had found some kind of literary kindred spirit. I hated Janina. Hated her reasoning, hated her descriptions, and the unsatisfying ending of the book. The unsatisfying ending?
What?
Have you even read the book properly?
No, I don't think so.
Let's continue. The novel also had lines that mentioned autism and miscarriage in such a way that it almost made me stop reading. Rather wish you should have actually, because despite reading the entire book, you come up with a review as such where you straight away say that there was no proper ending. I mean, you should have actually stopped reading the book and then drafted this review, because this makes no sense to me at all. As if you have just written this review to just get a lot of attention from people like me. Because I have read the book and I love the book, and it's painful for me to read a review as such. Not because I am not being able to take your opinion, but because you have written things that does not make sense at all. Like, even people who did not like the book may not have liked it for different reasons, but the reasons that you have stated, oh god, makes no sense at all. Anyways, the next book is a favorite of all of us, okay? It's not just my favorite, it is a favorite to the entire existence, entire reader community, and the book is 1,000 Splendid Suns. Now, I don't think the book or the author needs any kind of introduction, and I know that people who love this book are going to get outraged by the reviews that I'm gonna read, but we gotta do what we gotta do. I usually don't give many books just 1 star, and I'm extremely hesitant to do so, but to tell the truth, this book sadly deserves no more. Are you judging her? Because I am. It is full of cliches.
Girl, really?
The premise of the book itself may have been promising, but the language, the twists, etc. are tired and old. Oh, as if she has, read a lot of common books. Maybe she has, actually. Maybe we are old and old school types. Unfortunately, Khaled Hosseini, who could have been a much better author, is delivering the same stereotypes. Now, somebody who, from the review that I've already read, like so far, I'm assuming that she is an avid reader, and because she says that this is old and this is like quite outdated and cliche, I am hoping and assuming that she is an experienced reader. Okay, she is not in an intermediate level, she is in the advanced level of reading community. Now, somebody who has read so many books writes the spelling of stereotype as stereotypes. Stereotypes that everyone has been hearing about Afghanistan. The characters do not ring true, and the sprinkling of Farsi words does not add to the attempt to flavor the book. The editing was terrible, the sentences too wordy, the plot too predictable and melodramatic. It is a shame that someone like Khalid Hosseini, whose first book, The Kite Runner, was much better, seems to have been rushed through this tribute to Western stereotypes about Afghanistan. I would have rather waited a few more years to read the same book if more time had been put in writing it and better editing it properly. I mean, Kite Runner is okay. Kite Runner is good. I love A Thousand Splendid Sun even better than Kite Runner. That's my opinion. Now, somebody who says that Afghanistan is stereotypical, like everything that the book mentions about Afghanistan and women are stereotypical. I mean, ये तो वही बात हो गई ना कि कोई आकर हमेशा मुझे ऐसे stereotypically बोल रहा है कि you know what, you smell like fish, or maybe you people do witchcraft because I am a Bengali. So I mean, जो है वो है यार. हम लोग फिश खाने की वजह से जाने जाते हैं, या फिर वेस्ट बंगाल इज़ नोन फॉर द कल्चर, फॉर द फूड एंड एवरीथिंग. वी कांट से कि भाई ये स्टीरियोटाइप है, ये है तो है, इसको फैक्ट ही कहेंगे ना यार. तो अफगानिस्तान इज़ एज सच. अफगानिस्तान में ये सब हो रहा है बहुत टाइम से, तो इट्स नॉट स्टीरियोटाइप, इट इज़ फैक्चुअल, इट इज़ एक्सट्रीमली फैक्चुअल. व्हाट इफ लाइक मारियम एंड लैला आर टू रियल लाइफ कैरेक्टर्स दैट ऑब्वियसली Khalid Hosseini just fictionalized or maybe changed the names of? Anything that is happening in Afghanistan as of now to the women are quite believable because we are getting to see them on the news, right? So how come you I mean, I am assuming from the lady's name that she also comes from the Middle Eastern countries, but I don't know why I'm taking this very personally. It is very sad to read this review. It's as if somebody has given her enough money to write something against the book. It's as if like that, because what I see from the news channels are worse than what we have read in A Thousand Splendid Sun. Anyways, let's move on. The next book is The Namesake by Lahiri. Now, Lahiri is my most favorite author, especially for the books that she have written that are set against India, basically about the immigrants and, you know, the lives of immigrants in the West. So I have read a couple of her books like The Namesake, Whereabouts, and a lot. But recently I also read romance stories which didn't work for me. But otherwise, as a whole, I love the author. And somebody wrote for the book Namesake, okay? Somebody wrote, not only did I dislike the book, I am also mad that these poorly written characters are still living in my head after reading the last page. So does that mean that they are not poorly written? I mean, they are still living in your head. So I'm just saying. One of the great aspects of reading is that we become the characters and they live in our heads and hearts long after we have finished it. Unfortunately, this is true for the badly written books as well. I'll give you for that. Sometimes yes, but mostly characters that we love a lot stays stronger and much attached to us long after we are done reading the book. I am not sure what Lahiri was trying to express in this novel. It was basic to the extreme. Reading it made me think that even Lahiri didn't understand what thoughts were going on inside her character's head, and she is their creator. Poorly thought out character and plot. As another reviewer said, this book could have been titled Indian Family Moves to America and Lives. Absolutely not. If you are agreeing to this title, Indian Family Moves to America and Lives, I think you don't know what immigrants as a term means altogether. I can already guess your reading taste from your profile picture and also from how you have not understood what Lahiri kind of tried to convey. The next book is a book that I have spoken about a lot many times. You guys must be tired by now that I spoke to you guys about this one so much, but yeah, it is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. And this person, she rated it a 2-star, by the way. Now she writes, this book took me by surprise mainly because I didn't like it, and I am surprised that you didn't like it. And why didn't you like it? I had heard so many great things about this book and about the writing and the language that I assumed I'd fall in love with it on the first page. But I didn't. Obviously, you can't expect that, darling. I really had my problems getting into the style of writing, and even by the end of the short book, didn't like it. Short. And the story, though at parts interesting, was filled with flat stock figures and rather selfish and egoistic asshole as a main character. I mean, that is how he wanted to draft the character. What's wrong in that? He just took advantage of everyone around him, not taking care of anyone's feeling, all under the guise of his own confusion and insecurities, which really doesn't make it any more likable or understandable. I mean, the character, if you didn't like the book because of this selfish character, maybe, I think you have serious issues because authors, they intentionally write characters like this, like unlikable characters. I mean, we are supposed to judge a book from the entirety of the context, I believe. But anyways, that's your opinion. Again, there's next one, which is another favorite. Okay, obviously we are talking about all my favorite books now. This is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, and I read it last year. I love the book. We generally read books with plots. We love story. We love where we are reading descriptive storyline with characters having conversations. But in Sally Rooney's books, we kind of don't find any kind of plot line. So if you're somebody who are looking for story, or who are fond of reading stories and who only read books because they like good stories, I think you will never like Sally Rooney's writing, or her books in general, because she barely writes stories, but she writes characters. So this person, he rated this book a 1 star, and he writes, "I'm sorry, but I had to drop this. I got 100 pages in and couldn't bear it in longer. It just so goddamn overwritten. Every page feels like smashing your head into a brick wall of pointless metaphors and introspection." I mean, that is why she is Sally Rooney. She is the queen of introspection. I can't wait for the world to move on from Sally Rooney's whole deal of badly written chick lit that people desperately try to pretend is anything more than pretentious Colin who. What? And then he adds, "She seems like a lovely person though." But what did you say? I can't wait for the world to move on from Sally Rooney's whole deal of badly written chick lit that people desperately try to pretend is anything more than pretentious. You know what? I could have spared you. You, whoever you are, you know who you are. Did you just say that she's pretentious Colin Hoover?
I think I'm losing my mind.
There's another review for the same book. And she writes, "I hate every character, but mostly I hate all the words in this overly long book." The book long, yes. But is it overwritten, or is the book badly written? I mean, my copy of Sally Rooney, like the annotations in my books don't say the same way. Like, I am quite contradictory in this case, because my copy of Sally Rooney does not say that. The book has beautiful writing. Trust me, guys. If you don't read the book for anything, just read it for beautiful writing. If you're somebody who loves good writing. क्या पढ़ रही हूँ ये सब, मैं मेरा दिमाग ही खराब हो रहा है. मैं जितना सोच रही हूँ ना अपने आप को कंट्रोल करूँ, नहीं हो पा रहा है मेरे से.
ये सब क्या देखना पड़ रहा है?
The next book is Orbital by Samantha Harvey. It also won the Booker 2024, if I'm not wrong, and I read it last year itself. So I read the book before it won the prize, the Booker prize, and I was rooting for the book to win the Booker prize, and it did. And I am very glad, because the book is not just about 6 people in the space. It teaches a lot about family. It teaches a lot about long forgotten conversations. It teaches a lot about relationships. It has a lot to give, as the humanity needs it. Okay, but this person, he writes, he or she, whatever, it's who is nominating these books for awards without obviously reading them. Now my question to you is, have you read the book at all, or are you just writing a review because you are quite free at home? You basically do not have anything to do at home, so you're basically writing bad reviews against all the books. And there's another review where she writes, "Oh my gosh, I finally finished this. If I could give it 0 stars, I would." As if it would, stop the book from receiving the Booker prize. Anyways, I want to never return this book to the library, pay the fine, and burn this book so no one has to suffer like this. Suffer? You know what? You are meant to read books by Colin Hoover. Only she can be of your use.
Yeah, boy.
This book could have been one chapter, or simply saying, "Look at Google Earth." There was literally no plot to this book, and took place over the course of a day. Yes, so yes, there is no plot. So if you're basically looking for plot in the book, you are obviously not going to like it. I would definitely like to mention that, because the objective of the book is to not give you any plot line, but to give you much more. You are basically going to learn a lot from the book, but no, हमें तो plot line चाहिए खाली. If she wanted to inform us about space, how about do it in a less mind-numbing way? The typhoon happening on Earth was more interesting than 6 people in space. Also, I did not finish books, hence suffering through the entire thing. I didn't get it, but not every book comes with one objective, which is to give you a story. If you're looking for story, read books that comes with story, or at least read reviews before picking a book so that you know from which book to expect what, because I do that. If I am somebody who do not like poetry, I will not pick a poetry book. If I am somebody who do not like to read books that are too preachy or philosophical, I will read a review and then I'll purchase the book or maybe borrow the book from the library. Why will I otherwise do it? I mean, okay, the next book is In Order to Live, A North Korean Girl's Journey to Freedom by Yeonmi Park. I know you all know what the book is about, and I love that book because I bawled my eyes out while I was reading it, and also because it's a real life incident. And somebody basically wrote, only Yeonmi Park knows what truly happened, but I have serious reservation about the credibility of her story. Inconsistencies and contradictions abound among her many talks, interviews and shows. You can only live a lie. Now, I have not seen a lot of her interviews, so I cannot comment on this, but from what I have read, it is quite sad. Okay, I don't know if it's deliberately made sad so that people they kind of sympathize with her, maybe. I just don't know, and I don't want to comment on it, but I have to say that if it is the case with she being like different in her interviews and writing different in the books, then it's a bad thing. Then I think I would also not rate it a 5-star. I actually have to research a little bit more before I comment on this. So yeah, the next book is a book that I recently also talked about, which is The Broken Wings by Khalil Gibran. If you know me and if you've followed me for the longest, you know how much I love this book, and I will not take anything against this book, never. Like, even when I say that I will respect your opinion, I will certainly not when it comes to this book. And this one guy, he writes, this book gave me cancer. Seriously, bro, how unromantic is your life? How are you existing in this universe? And why are you existing, to be honest? Because if you say a book like The Broken Wings to be like a cancer, I mean, I can't believe that you are a reader. I can't believe that you read books at all. I mean, you probably just found this book one fine day in one of the cafes or maybe in a library, and you just picked it because it's short, and then you read it and you could not resonate because you're not romantic enough and you don't know what love is like and how it feels on the page. That is the reason you came up with this thought. Or maybe you didn't even complete reading the book and you just wrote a review from maybe reading the first page of the book. It's sad. If you did so, I will never forgive you.
I am done!
And the last one is Dance 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 by Haruki Murakami. Haruki Murakami is my all-time favorite author. I'm a little biased towards his writing and for his books, but Dance 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 has a different place in my heart because it's quite different from what I generally read in his other books. Like, obviously it has magical realism and all of the stuffs, but Dance 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 still, like, was very different. I kind of loved that book because it was so magnetic that I could not move out or put the book down at all. I was constantly in the book. I was constantly reading the book. I would literally wait for that one time of the day when I would pick the book up and read and discuss it with my fellow friend, because we were buddy reading the book. And it was such a good experience to read Dance Dance Dance. This book is absolutely terrible, and anyone rating it higher than 1 star has one brain cell. Thank you. Mr. Parker, I am happy to have 0 brain cell, but I would still rate it a 5-star. And I don't think that you need to tell me if I have 1 brain cell or 2 brain cells.
You're not my dad!
Because it won't make any difference in my opinion for this book, because I love this book so much. We have come to the end of the video. These were the reviews, 1-star reviews of the few books that I love with all my heart, and I will never change my opinions for all of these books, no matter how influencing or convincing somebody is with their thoughts. I will never change my opinion for all of these books that I've mentioned today. And yeah, if you want to, because I was thinking that I should also react to the reviews of the books that I DNF'd maybe, or rated a 1-star or 2-star myself, to see how people think about it, or maybe 1-star reviews of the same books that I rated a 1-star. If you would like to see a video as such, let me know in the comments, or whatever your other suggestions are. My comment box is always open for you people, so you can put anything there as a suggestion. I would happily take it. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Yeah, subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with your friends and family, whoever is interested into reading book, because I come here almost every week to talk about books and literature. And I personally think that we as readers, we should always convince people, or maybe influence people who are not readers, to read more books, so that we can come together and make this world a better place to exist, because readers are too busy reading their books, that they are not going to wars and agendas and politics. So the world will anyway become a good place to live in. And hence we come to the end of the video. If you enjoyed watching the video, you know what to do. And yeah, until then, happy reading, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.